Hey guys, so believe it or not, I have a lot of colorful things to share with you guys today, including this one. Hey guys, thank you guys so much for being here today. My name is Felicia from SweetGeorgia, and this is Taking Back Friday. This is a space where we come every Friday and we talk about knitting and spinning and weaving and dyeing. I like to talk about the fiber arts. I've been blogging about the fiber arts since 2004, and I started making these videos about 2 years ago so that I could share with you guys a little bit more up close and personal the things that I'm making and show you more in a live way what they look like. So every week we come here on Fridays and we talk about how important it is to take time out of your schedule to make things. No matter how busy you are, all your obligations, no matter what you need to do, it's still extremely important to carve out a chunk of time and claim that as your own, to feed your soul, to feed your creativity. For me, that means playing with hand-dyed yarns for sure, but it also means spinning with fiber, it means weaving cloth. Those kinds of things really appeal to me, and that's what I generally like to share on this show. So I have quite a number of things I want to share with you guys today, and looking at the list I realized that they all have to do with color and cloth. And so I'm going to start with this first one because this is the thing that I've just cut off the loom this morning, and that is this shawl. Ta-da! You guys might have seen it in a previous episode where I was at Knit City, and this is actually what I was weaving on the baby wolf loom. And so this has just come off now. So you can see it's a spectrum of color. I love it. It turned out a little bit different than I had envisioned originally, but basically this is a project that I wove for a class that we're putting up on the School of SweetGeorgia later on this winter. It's going to go up in December, I think, and it's all about hand-woven color. And so one of the first projects I wanted to do was to do a color gamp, and a color gamp is where you have all these colors in the warp and then they cross over with the same colors in the weft. And so, you know, you'll have a red crossing over with a red and a yellow crossing over with a yellow. But in between all of those things happening, you'll have the red crossing over the yellow and making an orange. So this is an exercise in optical mixing is what it is. And so you put colors close together and then they mix and blend together in your eye to create other effects. So this is the project that I had worked on for that. And typically when you look at color gamps, they could be like tablecloths or dishcloths or those kinds of things. They're very utilitarian textiles. But I wanted to make something that was not just an educational piece, but something that you could wear, something that is beautiful and wearable. And so this one happens to be made out of our party of fives, our new party of fives for the fall season. So the new party of fives, we made those 3 sets and they make this big spectrum. And so that's what I decided to use for this shawl. I had originally intended on making each of these color, like the weft color sections, a little bit longer, but then I started weaving this as a demo for Knit City and forgot what my intentions were, and I started weaving everything square. So by the time I finished going through all of the colors, I realized that the shawl was going to be too short. So then I had to cycle back through the colors again. So that's why I had intended for this section with the gold over the gold to be kind of like the center of the shawl, but now there's all this other part of it. So now it's big and long and huge. In any case, this has just come off the loom, so it has not even been washed or anything like that. Once it's washed, it'll hopefully tighten up a little bit. It's not going to full because it's not non-superwash, it's Tough Love sock, but it will at least soften up and become a little bit more drapey, a little bit more cohesive. So that's what I'm going to look for once this is all done. So that hand-woven shawl is made with 3 packages of Party of Fives, makes for 15 mini skeins, 15 different colors. Now, one of the things that we wanted to do this year was to make a kit that used like 15 or 17 mini skeins. This was kind of like an idea that we've been tossing around because we really like our Advent kits from the past couple of years, but we are not planning to do an Advent kit for this holiday season. We thought that we would just make kits that would use, you know, like changing colors, transferring colors from one to the next and all of that kind of stuff, and that enjoying of the color aspect of the Advent kits without the anxiety or stress that comes with a mystery knit along or a knit along kind of project. So what we did was we took those 15 colors of mini skeins and we packaged them together in this set here. So you can see all 15 colors are in this package here, but they've been made into mini skeins. And so that means that it's half the amount of yardage that is in this hand-woven shawl. So theoretically, if you wanted to, you could take this kit and then weave a scarf, like a spectrum style scarf, with this amount of yardage. That would work. But I'll show you what else we made with this kit. Tabitha went and designed this gorgeous shawl with all 15 of those mini skeins. Ta-da! So we thought that this would be a super fun way to enjoy all 15 colors in that spectrum without sort of investing in a ton of yarn or anything like that. But yes, I love sort of the color play between all of these colors. The shawl actually starts back here. It's one of those shawls where you cast on just a little bit. So yeah, the shawl starts up here, and then you cast on, you do a little bit of lace, and then you're alternating that first color with the second color, mixing and blending, alternating with the next color, next color, next color. And so it alternates between sort of like some garter stitch sections, some stitch patterns, some lace. And I'm really fond of this sort of checkerboard pattern down here. I feel like that's really super fun. And of course I always like this sort of alternating colors, alternating colored stripes, sort of welted stripes, colored stripes. So that is also super fun. And this would be a really nice and enjoyable, non-stressful kit to knit during the holidays. So we have these right now available. So yeah, so this Symphony kit is up and it's ready to go. It's up in the shop right now. And it's sort of like, we wanted to get sort of a jump on the holiday season because I know it's like, it gets a little bit crazy, it gets a little bit hectic once we start getting into November and stuff like that. So we wanted to be sure that you would have it in time for holidays and stuff like that. So that is that shawl. It's called the Symphony shawl, Symphony kit. Now the other thing that we have for a kit here is actually a yarn and pattern kit, and it is for this super cute hat. Now this super cute hat is actually a crocheted hat, but it looks like it's been knitted. But the texture on this is really beautiful. This is made with the Mohair Silk DK. This is a pattern that Charlotte designed. And it looks like it's knitting. It looks like ribbing, but it's not. It's all done with crochet. It's very, very cool. Now the thing is that we don't actually have the pom-poms. We're trying to look for a source for pom-poms. If anybody knows of a good source for these nice pom-poms, let me know, because we're looking for a source. We don't have a source for pom-poms. So yes, this pattern is called ELIORA. It's the ELIORA hat, and so you can find this on our website right now. It's coming in a bunch of different colors. It's right now, it's available for pre-order, and we will get this sent out to you at the beginning of November. So that's sort of it for our color kits and our holiday kits for SweetGeorgia. We have more stuff coming soon, but I wanted to first share with you guys something that we've been working on with Liz Gipson at yarnworker.com. So if you didn't know, Yarnworker is actually an online school where Liz Gipson is teaching rigid heddle weaving, and so lots and lots of skills and techniques related to using your rigid heddle loom. And so she started at the very basics, very fundamentals, how to warp your loom, you know, what kind of yarn to choose, what kind of sets to choose, all that kind of stuff. And then she's moved on into other aspects of rigid heddle weaving, using pickup sticks, being able to weave lace, being able to weave double weave. Like, there's so much material that Liz covers with the rigid heddle loom. Now, the project that she's doing this season, this fall, is a variegated yarn challenge. Variegated yarn meaning hand-painted yarn, or yarn that comes with color sections. So we worked together with her to provide her some yarn for her project for this weave along. And so we sent her this yarn. This is the Flaxen Silk DK. This is a new weight of the flaxen silk yarn that we make. And so this is part linen and then part silk. And so I can see the shine in it. I can see, you know, that the flax makes it not stretchy. So it's a great sort of weaving yarn. So she chose this colorway here. This is the tea leaves colorway. And she basically took this yarn and was able to weave 3 different scarves with it using one colorway, making 3 different scarves. So one of the scarves is a pooled scarf where you take your warp and you sort of line it up. You warp your loom while lining it up so that these color sections are still in the order that they're supposed to be in. And then another one where she sort of mixes it all up, mixes all the colors up, and she weaves a lace with it. And then the last one where she does a clasped warp project, where basically she has some of this color yarn is linking with a white colored yarn. Somebody calling me from Tennessee. So she has a clasped warp project where she takes this colorway and it is in the warp, and it kind of like comes out this way in the warp and then links it together with another birch, or it's like basically our cream colored yarn, and links it together like this as a warp and then weaves it together. So then it produces like a whole completely other effect. The photographs that she's shown are really cool with this particular technique and this particular project. So Liz's Weave Along starts this week, and what we've done is we have created these bundles for her Weave Along. So you can basically get this color of the Flax and Silk DK, and then we picked the coordinating colors for a cash silk lace and a bulletproof sock to make it all come together and make these 3 different scarves. So if you're interested in using your rigid heddle loom and weaving along with Liz for this project, you can find the bundle on our website. And then in addition to this color, we also created a couple of other hand-painted colorways for this particular project. So this colorway is our tapestry colorway, dyed on the Flax and Silk DK now. And this one isn't bundled together, but I offered some suggestions about what colors would look best when it's woven with this particular yarn. So this is the other color. And the third color that we decided to offer is this one here, and it is called Grouse. So this is, it's got some browns, it's got some blues, some greens. It's one of my favorites. So this is the third color, and so you can pick whichever colors you want to use as weft with this yarn. So recently, not really recently, maybe a while back, we stopped offering hand-painted yarns in any other base other than the Tough Love sock. We really only wanted to see sort of the hand-painted colorways in the sock yarn, and not necessarily on a sweater weight yarn or not necessarily on a heavier weight yarn. So this is really an exception to our newfound rule. And so you can see that the hand paints here, they look beautiful in this silk and linen yarn, but we wanted to do it just for this project, just for the Yarnworker. So you guys can find that on the shop as well. So her Weave Along starts this week, and if you guys want to join, you can head over to yarnworker.com and look that up. Now, if you guys didn't already know, we also have an online fiber arts school, and we call that School of SweetGeorgia. And so this week, something else launched on our site, and that is a tapestry course with Janna Maria Vallee. Now, Janna is somebody that I have known for probably 10 years now. She came to visit me at my old studio on 4th and Main, like ages ago, when she had just started at Capilano, the textile school there. And over these past 10 years, Janna has become this incredible tapestry weaver. She's become an artist, and with an actual art practice, weaving practice. She has set up gallery shows. It is her life work right now. And so we are very, very excited to be able to share Janna's teaching in this tapestry weaving class with you. Leah and I talked about this earlier, Leah and I, we went up in May or June, and we went up to Sunshine Coast where she lives, and we filmed everything at Janna's studio. So this is very, very special to be able to go inside her working studio, see her looms, see how she works and everything like that. So that is what is available right now on the School of SweetGeorgia. Now, one of the projects that she has done has completely inspired what I want to make next. And it seems like it's a very, it's just such a pretty thing. And it is this sample here. So this is the thing, this is the technique that makes what Janna does different from what you might see a lot of on like Instagram or on Etsy. There's a lot of sort of woven wall hanging type weaving that is happening right now. It's very, very popular. It's a lot of frame loom weaving and, you know, putting fiber in, putting yarn in. I have found that when I weave with a frame loom, doing whatever I want, whenever I want, sometimes the results are not as I would like. Sometimes the fabric becomes bubbly, sometimes it doesn't lay flat anymore, sometimes there's all sorts of issues. And so this is the one thing that Janna teaches in her tapestry class that I found super eye-opening, and it's this idea of meet and separate. So meet and separate, meaning that you actually, when you work with yarns in a tapestry, you start sort of together, you meet, and then you make them separate. You make these two bobbins go in opposite directions, and then they come back together, and then they go back apart, and then they come back together. So they're meeting and separating and meeting and separating, rather than one weft yarn going back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. And so the reason for this is so that the fabric doesn't become bubbly or distorted or anything like that, that they stay even, they stay nice and smooth all the time. And it's a technique that actually can be used with different colors to produce this sort of color hatching technique. So this is basically, there's only two colors in this project. There's this aqua color and then there's this lavender blue color. But because they are overlapping with each other in the middle, they produce this third color. And so this technique is kind of called hatching. It's kind of like if you're sketching and you just kind of like drawing cross-hatching lines, that's kind of what is happening here. So it's hatching and you're creating a shading effect. I am in love with this. From the moment that I saw it, I was like, I want to make something like this. And so one of the next projects that I want to do is to not necessarily do this on a tapestry loom, but I'm going to put this on my floor loom, and I want to make a runner. I want to make a table runner with this exact technique, using that meet and separate technique. And so Janna shows you exactly how to do that, how to start a tapestry, how to do the meet and separate, how to do meet and separate with more than two colors, doing with three colors, doing across wide pieces, doing all sorts of things like that. But this technique's really, really important. But I thought this one, can you just picture it? Extend it really, really, really long into a nice table runner all the way down the table. That would look really, really nice. And I think I could do that on my floor loom. I think I would do it at 5 inches per inch, and then pick two colors and then have them sort of meet in the middle and produce that effect. I'm in love with this. So yes, that's one of the things that we're going to be doing. So yes, this is very, very inspiring to me right now. So if this catches your interest at all, if you think that you might like to learn how to do the tapestry techniques that Janna does, please do visit us in the School of SweetGeorgia, and you'll find her course available on there right now. Now, this actually brings me to the next thing that I want to share with you guys, and that is that Tabitha is actually coming to Vancouver in a couple of weeks, and she's going to stay with us here for a couple days before we all head out to our SweetGeorgia retreat at Whistler. So she's coming in a couple days early. She's coming in early so that we can film. And what we're going to be filming is actually a workshop that she's going to be putting together about Make 9, and this idea of choosing 9 items that you intentionally want to make over the next year. And so the idea would be that by the end of December 2020, you would have these 9 projects that you have thought through, planned, and worked out. So when we were talking about this topic, I was thinking that that should be my project for next year. This year I've been doing the Epic Cloth project, which is here, by the way, and I'll talk about that too. But the whole idea of doing an epic cloth project was to take one big massive project and break it down into small little steps so that they would be doable. Now for next year, I think that what I might like to do is to make my Make 9 my epic project. So like even this year, even with working on this particular woven project, I still managed to weave a bunch of other things. I still managed to knit a couple of other sweaters. Yeah, I still made other things. And so what I want to do is to be more intentional about what each one of those things is going to be. So if you guys have never done Make 9 before, I think it kind of came out through Instagram because people were putting together their best 9 things that they, best nine photos that they'd posted in a year. And the best 9 was very often, you know, a finished object and things like that. So putting together a picture of 9 finished objects together on a grid and being really proud and feeling really accomplished about the 9 things that you created. So if you kind of make a vision for yourself for what that might look like December 2020, when you post a best 9, that would be your Make 9. So what I've been thinking about is every time I have an idea for something that I want to make, rather than going out and figuring out the yarn or planning or anything like that, all I'm doing right now is jotting it down on a post-it note. And then on a post-it note, maybe like a quick little sketch, maybe you could print out a picture of what it is, but then just on a post-it note, I'm just sticking them on my wall because I'm pretty sure that I have more than 9 ideas right now. One of the ideas being to make a runner like this, but rather than just running out and saying, I gotta get my yarn, I'm gonna warp my loom now so I can make exactly this, I'm gonna plan it. I'm gonna be a little bit more intentional about it. I'm gonna know that by the end of next year, this will happen because I was able to make this happen. I can make this happen. So there's a couple of other things that I want to put on my Make 9, including a sweater that I saw a couple weeks ago at the Knit City, and it was the booth that was right behind us. I think her name was Janna Vallee Yarns, and she designed a sweater called the Sailing Sweater. That is just exactly my style of sweater. I just love it. It is like a bat wing style, knit from side to side, just big lace, big yarn. It's something that I would absolutely wear. So that is going on my Make 9. I have some other sweaters that I want to make, of course, some other things that I want to knit. I want to weave fabric to make this skirt that I've seen on the Seamwork. I think it's a Colette pattern, Seamwork website. So there's a bunch of things. So I'm just jotting it down on a post-it note and sticking them all up. And then I'm going to kind of like make my very temporary grid of what those 9 items might be. Just trying to be really intentional, trying to capture all the ideas that I have. And I know that things are going to come up in and around a whole year. It's not like I can plan everything in January and just have it set for a whole year. There's obviously going to be new patterns that come out that are going to appeal to me, so maybe I leave a spot open. But for whatever is going to happen, I'm going to try to be really, really intentional about all of that making. So that brings me to the last thing that I want to share with you guys, and that is the epic cloth project that I have been working on for a long time now. It's been since January, and you can see that it is all tied up here. It is basically ready to weave. Now I have to figure out what's going to go in as weft. And so this is a 10/2 cotton. It's like a mercerized 10/2 cotton, so it looks like a little bit like silk. It's not super fine, but it's fine. And so there are even finer weight cottons that I'd like to put in because I want it to be somewhat warp faced, but I still want a tiny little bit of that weft color to show. So right now what I'm doing is I'm just going to tie it up, and I'm going to put a little bit of weft yarn in. I'm going to put in a 16/2 unmercerized cotton because it's what I have. I don't have any other mercerized cotton, although I feel like that would be the best thing. But I have this unmercerized cotton, so I'm going to put a little bit of just the plain undyed white color in. I'm going to see how much of that weft shows, and that is going to help determine what color I'm going to dye that yarn in order to put it in as weft here. So quite a lot of stuff that still needs to happen before the end of October. Quite a lot of stuff in general that needs to happen before the end of October. So that's what's on my plate right now. In addition to all these projects and things that we're working on, apparently I need to warp 6 looms before the Whistler retreat. So I'm gonna go get on that right now. Thank you guys so much for watching this episode. If you like this episode, please do hit the like button. And if you'd like to see more content like this, please do hit subscribe. We come here every Friday and I talk about knitting and spinning and weaving and dyeing and what I'm making here in this attic and in general. Now our schedule over the next couple of weeks might be a little bit messed up because, you know, Tabitha's coming in from out of town and we're about to head out to Whistler to do this retreat. First time ever. So there might be a little bit of a juggle with the schedule and things like that, but I will come back for sure with lots of recaps of what we've been doing and what we've been filming and what we've been doing at the retreat and all of that kind of stuff. Okay, so if I don't see you guys next week, I will see you guys in a couple weeks. Thank you guys so much for being here. I will see you in the next one. All right, bye for now.